Hello, everybody. That was a weird intro. Sorry about that. I was just trying to lean round the corner while switching on a microphone, switching off Spotify, and not looking too weird. But we can all say that I failed that miserably. How are we all? I do like to do my standard, if somebody watching could please just type something in the chat to let me know that you can hear me okay, that would really help me out. There we go. Tom Cakebread, my word, it's been a while. Are you ready to have your mind blown about Google? $110%. Well, let me tell you that Google very rarely push over 100%. It's going to be a very numbers heavy session. What I'm going to do is, once I've just let a few people come in, hopefully, I've actually set up a new email account which I use for this Twitch channel, and I'm going to go through setting up an account from absolutely scratch. So in an hour we could have some ads live. Now I'm not going to set them live because I don't want to pay Google any money for them, but I'm going to go through it from the exact thing that you will see. Because what we know time and time again is that Google change how they set things up quite a lot. And often we'll say to a client, yeah, click on this, go here and do this. And unbeknownst to us, Google have changed or added a step in the process. So I'm going to go through it live, see exactly what's going on today, and hopefully get some ads live. Now I'm going to set it up for a fictitious company. I'm going to pick something really plain and something that we can focus on. Let me think. Actually, chat can decide. I'm going to pretend the company. If somebody in chat wants to suggest something, I will pretend that the company I'm setting it up for is that company. Don't select your own company. Alright? I want something super generic. So it'll be like Bradley's X or McManus Y. So somebody can suggest something, we'll go with that. Because until then, I'm just going to sit here and talk to you. Yep. Sorry, I always have to do these checks at the start because we're still using our games room Twitch stream setup, and as a result, it can be a little bit temperamental sometimes. You have to check that our dropped frames are fine, that our bit rate's fine, that people can hear me, that the computer isn't overheating. It's singing right next to me, which is a good sign. So no suggestions from chat about the company you want me to set up for. Because if you don't, left to my own devices, I'm just going to end up doing something to do with wrestling. And what is good news is that I didn't hear Amy from another room tell me off. People are saying on the stream, Brad's Wrestling Shop. Seems like a good idea. Well, the boss says I can do Brad's Wrestling Shop, so that's it. I'm going to sell wrestling stuff. Let's leave it at that before I go too much. Too crazy, and I don't need to talk about wrestling. Right, so if you see me make odd movements like this, it's because I'm strange. But it's mainly because I've got like a screen just sort of over the top there, and I can't see everything I need to. Every single time because of our odd setup. But I'm going to go onto my screen share now. Ta-da! And you should see me in the corner with a relatively plain grow your business with Google Ads. So people watching, are you ready to grow your business with Google Ads? Yes, I hear you all scream and shout from the rafters. What? Everyone has rafters, Amy. This is a one-way conversation at the moment. It's just me and Tom. And a load of other people that aren't talking, so you leave me and Tom here by myself. Tom loves wrestling, I love wrestling. Have I mentioned wrestling enough? Amy says, no, I haven't mentioned wrestling enough. So, The thing you can't see at the moment, which I'm going to just move my screen slightly so you can see this. I'm going to put myself in the bottom corner for a moment. Bear with me. Because you kind of need to see the top bit. So what you see in the top is that I've got, I'm just at ads.google.com. And that's all we need to care about. That's all we need to go to. Now, the one thing that I've done in advance is get my email sorted. So Google will want you to have a Google account or a Google Gmail. I mean, most people have got a Gmail list on description. So one of the things that I've done for this fictitious company is I've set up an email account. And it's good practice in general to have one specific email account to deal with every account. For people that are setting this up, it's probably not going to be an issue. Just use your Gmail. Use your Gmail, and then you get to this page. And the first thing you've got to do is just click Start Now. Top right hand corner. Start Now, click. This is all going to be a surprise because I haven't done this from complete scratch. Oh, see, it's logged me into my other account already. I was worried this might happen. Bear with me, I'm just going to put you on cam so I don't accidentally give away loads of information, and then I'll get this little bit sorted. It's because I'm logged into our company account, and I don't want to be logged into our company account. Here we go. Let's go switch this back for you. So you'll get to see something like this. You see in the top right hand side, you'll see the email I'm using is brainmemcopper@gmail.com, which is just the email that we use for this Twitch account as a backup. And you'll see this. This is actually quite new. Do you want to set up a new account or switch a Google account? So this is important. At this point, it's talking about your account. So for me, it's that brainmemcopper@gmail. Now the words account and profile are going to get intertwined here, so they're going to use them at different points to mean different things. So this little bit, it's a little bit of a headache, but if you just, I'm going to go through it slowly and we'll just get it together. So obviously, you don't have a Google Ads account. Would you like to create one? Yes, I would like to create a new account. So we click on that. Got the logo up, it's already a good start. At any point, people just jump in with questions. Absolutely, just jump in at any point if you have any questions or something doesn't make sense. Now, I've already got a huge decision to make. And I'm going to make it complicated because this is what you should be doing. What Google would like me to do right now is, on this page, decide whether I want visits, website sales, sign-ups, or get more calls. And that's very tempting to click on. It's very tempting to go, yes, well, that makes sense. I'm selling things online, or I want people to come to my shop, so I'll click one of these. But what it does is it leads you down a very narrow path and gives you very few options to actually set up the account in the way that's going to be beneficial for you. Now, right at, well, not right at the bottom, but just slow down, you'll see switch to expert mode. They shouldn't really call it expert mode, because they should call it, this is the way that you should be setting it up. I understand that Google are trying to help people get on the ladder very easily with Google Ads, but these automatic way that they set them up is not the way to do it. And if a client comes to us with a setup in this format, we will just delete it immediately and start again, because they're not beneficial for growing a business, correctly with Google Ads. So, regardless of which one of the above you want, we're just going to click on switch to expert mode. Now, all this actually does is it just jumps us forward a few steps, and it allows us to make more decisions. So what it's effectively doing is it's now saying, right, you're setting up a new campaign. And a campaign is how we call different groups of adverts in Google Ads. Now, today I'm going to focus on paid search because I think it's the simplest one to understand and one of the simplest ones to set up. And you have the option here, again, like we did on the previous page, Google want you, do you want to do sales, leads, traffic, brand consideration, awareness, reach, or do you have an app to promote? Now, yeah, you can absolutely go down one of these routes, and sometimes it is... I'm not saying that we would never use this, but, you know, 99 times out of 10, out of 100 is better, we will actually just do this ourselves and do it without Google's guidance, which you'll find that Google don't recommend this. But I also think that Google try and frighten people and try and make it a lot more complicated than it needs to be. And I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you why it's actually quite simple. So we're going to do create a campaign without a goals guidance. No problem. Now next, it's asking me what sort of advert, what sort of campaign do I want to set up. Now, you'll be able to see, just as I do, well, you can just see one, the only one that's slightly hidden on the stream. Search, display, video, apps, smart, shopping, and discovery. Now, I'm just going to actually explain what they are very simply. Search, this is paid search advertising. This is when you type in something to Google and the ads come up on the results page. Pay-per-click, CPC, it's got lots of names, but it's when most people talk about Google ads, this is generally what they mean. Now, moving on to display. The way that we describe it is display is a picture advert which can be placed nearly anywhere on the internet. It doesn't mean it's a pop-up, but it's like if you're on a website and there's an ad that's sort of built into one of the sides, like if I was doing it for this page, there might be an advert on this sort of area. That would be a display ad. And there are many, many formats of that. Some move, some have little clips in, some are GIFs, but we're not going to get into that too much today. Video ad, those are YouTube ads. No doubt I'll do another one of these specifically about YouTube ads. App promotions are great if you already have an app. If you don't have an app, don't do this. Like that one is specifically for promoting app engagement and downloads. And then smart, smart campaigns upset me a little bit. Because smart campaigns seem like a really good idea. They seem like a good idea on the surface. It takes a lot of difficulty managing an account away from you. It makes decisions on your behalf. But the biggest problem with a lot of smart campaigns is that it doesn't allow you to know exactly what's going on within the campaign. And you can't really optimize it and make it better. So the only time, I want to say never use them, right? But if you have to use a smart campaign, you would only be using it because you're going to be spending a very small amount of money. I'm talking like under £50 a month. And you have no, and I mean zero time that you can actually look after this. Because other than that, you shouldn't be doing it. Like I said, we're going to go for search. So click on search. And it's going to say, hey, do you want those calls? Do you want the downloads? Do you want that? I don't care. Oh, hang on. Sorry, you can't see it because it's just behind my face. But what it's effectively saying is website visits, phone calls, or app downloads. I'm just going to move my head again. Here we go. Here we go. Actually, I'll probably be better over here. There we go. I think that makes more sense because then I'll block fewer things here. And website visits, phone calls, or app downloads. We don't want any of them. Oh, hang on, Tom. Is Smart Account a DSA? What do you mean by DSA? Oh, I'm going to keep going, Tom, but tell me what you mean. Dynamic search ad. Oh, right, yeah. Yes and no. Smart campaigns are more about Google runs it on your behalf. A dynamic search ad can be run just as we're setting up now, but the way we're setting up would allow us to do a dynamic search ad. I'm not going to go into it too much for the benefit of everyone else, but very briefly, it means that you'd set up a very simple advert and you'd allow Google to kind of control what goes in the advert. So it might be a certain keyword, or it might be a certain website, or a certain landing page. But we're not going to go into that too much right now. Smart goals would definitely use dynamic search ads, but they're two very different things. Anyway, website visits, phone calls, app download, don't want any of them. So just click continue. You don't have to click any of them, which is a bit misleading. So we get on to the next page. So now I'm going to set up a campaign. Now, I'm going to focus... the thing we decided earlier was talking about it being Brad's Wrestling Shop. I'm going to pretend that Brad's Wrestling Shop sells wrestling t-shirts. So this is actually the most important part of management. This is the most important part of any paid search account, and it's something at AM Marketing that we are quite honestly completely obsessed with, because if you get this bit wrong, then you don't allow yourself room to optimize further moving forward. So the only thing you need to understand at the moment is that you should group the sorts of keywords that you want to spend money on together, not throw them into one campaign. So let me just give you a very simple example using Brad's Wrestling Shop. So Brad's Wrestling Shop is a brand term. That's the name of the company. And that's in this part. But somebody typing in wrestling t-shirt is a completely generic term. Doesn't mean my company, doesn't mean another company. It just means I would like a wrestling t-shirt. Those keywords should not be in the same campaign. They should be completely separate, because they should have different ads, they should have different targeting, different costs. You should be spending different amounts of money on them. So we're going to set up 2 campaigns today. The first one is going to be brand. Sorry, that coffee's making me... well, I've managed to subdue my burps for the meantime. So what I'm going to call this, and this is just, you can call this whatever you want. This has no impact on the actual account. But you should assume that your account's going to get complicated. So this should be called something very, very straightforward. So what we often do for our accounts, we'll call it brand. And then dash. This is just how we like to do it, but you can use colons, you can use sentences. But you can use brand and what we're going to call pure brand. So that means Brad's Wrestling Shop. And that's it. Maybe some slight variations. But we're going to put very few keywords into this. Search networks. So, first things first, this is a paid search campaign. So, you do not want display. Just turn it off. If you want to do display, run a display campaign. And that's all I'm going to say on the matter. Search network might be important for you. So, if you're ever on a variety of different websites that actually use Google as their search engine, for example, a good example is eBay. So you can often get Google ads within eBay. And search partners means that not only will you be eligible to appear on normal google.com.co.uk, but you'll also be eligible to appear on things like eBay. There's a big list that I'll send a link to after, but for the most part, we'd recommend starting without this, and then maybe adding it in the future. Now, as you'll see, as I tick all these things off, Google have a bit of a panic. Most advertisers include their ads. Ignore them. Don't miss the opportunity. There is no opportunity. Ignore them. Okay? This is just Google trying to make you spend more money and make you spend it quicker. Now, I can click here to show more settings. I'm going to do it briefly, but most of the time you don't need this. Okay? So whenever it says show more settings, most of the time we're just going to ignore it for now. That might be in a later stream, it's a bit more complicated. Locations, where do you want to target? So Brad's Wrestling Shop is based in Canterbury. And I do sell t-shirts all over the internet. So I ship to the UK, so I want to target the whole of the UK. Especially with the brand term. But I'm going to show you, let's just say I didn't sell t-shirts on the internet. Let's say I only sold them in the shop. So I wouldn't want to target the whole of the UK. I'd only want to target people that are actually nearby in Canterbury. So actually I can go enter another location. And in here I could start going, oh, let's just type in Canterbury. And you can see it comes up. And I could go, oh brilliant, I'll just target Canterbury. Okay, great. So I've saved myself a lot of wasted money there. But you can actually be, again, a bit smarter still. If I go to advanced search, it will bring up this little map. It will show you where Canterbury is according to Google. Now, it's very small, it's very precise, and it might be a good campaign in general, but for most part, targeting these very specific cities isn't the best way to move forward. So I'm going to delete that. And at the top, you'll see location or radius. Let's click radius. And now I'm going to go here. Let's go 10 miles. I'm going to 10-mile radius around Canterbury. I've got to make sure I pick the right one, because this is global, remember? Canterbury, Kent. And instead of having a little dot, I can just target a radius around Canterbury. It's much better. And if I decide that actually that's too big, I can just go into this and edit it and go, actually, let's just go for 5 miles. I'm only starting out small. That looks nice. That looks good if I was targeting around Canterbury. So let's just save that. Language. Most of the time, this is very straightforward. You just want you just want English. But you need to bear in mind that it targets the user based on what Google Chrome or whatever their browser is attuned to. So if you have international clients, but they may be based in the UK, it might be worth targeting that language as well. It would mean that, let's just say I was targeting people in Japan, but I knew I had a lot of customers who spoke Japanese. This is a very strange shop, but hey, wrestling's very big in Japan, so it's relevant. I might target Japanese language as well. That doesn't mean my ads need to be in Japanese. It just means that if somebody whose computer is Japanese, if their first language is Japanese, but they type something in English into Google results, it would still trigger. So it's something to have a think about. It's very specific, but just bear it in mind. Budget. How much do you want to spend each day? This is for this campaign only. Remember, I said we're going to set up another one in a little bit. So if my budget is £10 a day and I want to spread it equally, this should be £5 a day. Now, you have to think about how many campaigns you're going to make. So if you're going to make, well, a normal account for us, I mean, has a minimum 50 campaigns, an absolute minimum. So if my budget were £10 a day and I was dividing £10 between 50 campaigns, that's probably not even enough to get a click for each campaign. It's too thin. And it's one of the reasons that we actually, when people come to us, we do say there is a minimum that you need to be spending for us to be managing it. If you're doing it yourself, then you can spend whatever you like. Just don't make it too complicated. If it is getting to that complexity level, then perhaps that is the time to look at getting an agency. Let's just go £5 for now. Now, this is another point where Google want you to spend more. What do you want to focus on? Clicks? I can't select the others because they haven't been set up. It can't just assume conversions. You need to have conversions already available. I'm not going to go into that right now. But we want clicks. Yeah, we definitely want to pay on clicks. Do I want to set a maximum cost per click? Well, absolutely. I don't want to be spending like £5 for one click. Let's just say £1.50, which is a reasonable amount for a small campaign. But you'll see here, and this is sneaky. I don't like this about Google Ads when it sets people up. Or select a bid strategy, not recommended. Kind of annoys me, because that's exactly what we want to do. Select your bid strategy. Target cost per acquisition, target return on ad spend, maximize clicks, maximize conversions. They all sound very nice. They also are very idealistic. When you're starting an account, day one, you're not going to have this information available. You don't know what your cost per acquisition should be. And if you want Google to find it out for you, you're going to need to spend a lot of money, into the thousands, to even consider it. I strongly, and this is how we manage ours, recommend manual CPC. Now Google will panic you again. Whoa, are you sure you want to do this? I don't really... Yes, you do want to do this, because then you have control. You're not giving Google control of your account, you're taking it for yourself. Okay? Oh, hang on. The TV's having a panic because I've had it on for so long. Sip of coffee. Any questions from anyone at this point? Anyone but Tom there? I mean, I can see there's more people watching. You're obviously just lurking. Manual CPC. It's going to have a panic attack. You know, setting bids manually will result in lower performance. Well, no, not if it's done correctly. Now, oh, bear with me. Ad extensions, I'm not going to cover those right now because I'll be here for ages. Ad extensions are things that you add to your advert to make them bigger and better. I'm going to go over that at another time. We're just doing the basics at this point. Save and continue. So now it wants me to make an ad group. Now an ad group, think about it structurally. A keyword sits in an ad group, which sits in a campaign, which sits in your account. Now, a very good account, should only have one ad group per campaign. There will be situations when that's not applicable. But again, for the example that we're doing today, it's perfect. So, I'm going to call it the exact same thing that we called our campaign. And our default bid for this, let's just go, I always like to go default bid of 50p. Just because it's nice and straightforward. Now it wants you to paste the words that you're going to use in. I remember I said this was a pure campaign, so we don't want to make it too complicated. So we just want Brad's Wrestling Shop. That's probably all I want to put in for this campaign. I might put in slight misspellings. Brad Wrestling Shop. And even then I might put in again Brad's Wrestle Shop and Brad Wrestle. So 4 near identical keywords. Oh, let me just zoom this. Let me just zoom this in for you because this bit's a bit small. There we go. Just 4 keywords. That's it. Keep it simple. There's a bit here about match types. I'm going to go on to that in a moment. I don't want you to think about it right now. And now we get onto the advert. Now, I could do an entire session on writing adverts. Very, very easily. But the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to keep this as simple as possible to give you the very general rule for how to write a decent PPC ad. So first of all, the URL. It's always important to send people to the right page. Now, if they're looking at a brand term, which in this case they are, we would usually send them to the home page, which is a completely made up website, Brad's Wrestling Shop.com. Completely made up. You see on the right hand side our ad is slowly being built. Now, headline 1. An advert is made up of headline 1, headline 2, sometimes headline 3, description line 1, and sometimes description line 2. You need to fill in all these bits of information. And I'm going to give you a very short little simple formula that you should try and stick to. Headline 1, Brad's Wrestling Shop. You want people to know that they've got to the right place. If you've got enough room, shoving something like official in there is good. Or online. Headline 2 should explain what you're doing. Very simply what it is that you do. So, wrestling t-shirts online. Hang on, I've just got to... Bear with me. Okay, sorry about that. So that's our first 2. So you think about this brand, your brand name in the first one, and the second one, just very simply what it is that you do. Very simply. Then, What's next? Headline 3. So headline 3 isn't always shown. Headline 3 is only shown in certain scenarios, you know, on your mobile when you've got a very good ad, but it's always worth putting it in. You kind of have to assume that it's going to be shown, but it should be auxiliary information. So wrestling t-shirts online, and I'm going to just put unique designs from I don't know. Just trying to think of something unique designs from the UK. Let's just put that. And you can see on the right hand side my ads coming together. You got to think, you know, is that ad decent? Would I click on that? Does that look alright? And you got to remember that we have to not only convince people to click it, we also have to convince Google it's a good ad. So display path is a question that we often get. So display, as part of your advert, you can actually make up a URL landing page. What you put here in path 1 and path 2, quite honestly, it can be anything. It doesn't need to be a real page. That's what I'm trying to say. So I can just put home, or I can put, see it changing on the right hand side, or official, or I can put best. I could put anything in here, but you know, stick with the theme of your advert. Be true. So this is, I'm just going to put home. Description 1. So I've got 90 characters to fill here. 90. Hang on. So this is where you can get a bit more wordy, and this is your chance to kind of sell yourself a little bit. But you don't want to go too far off course. So you'll see what I mean. I'm just going to type this just as I'm thinking about it for my imaginary shop. So I'm going to put, and be honest, handmade t-shirts, designed to order in from your favourite wrestling companies around the world. Oh, 2 characters over. Need to change it. I'm just going to delete the word designed. Handmade t-shirts to order from your favourite wrestling companies. I need from around the world. Now, I'm not saying this is the greatest ad, but that's fine. It's okay for, you know, like I said, for my made-up brand. What you might have noticed is that I've written nearly every single word with a capital letter at the start, which for those of you that love your grammar are going to hate this. Now, this isn't... How do I explain it? There have been several studies. PPC ads is something that's been inherited from PPC from like quite a long time ago. That if you capitalised every letter at the start of a word, and it makes the ad seem more important. Now there have been lots of tests run to reinforce that this is actually true. We've run our own tests internally, and we have found that yes, marginally doing it this way is better, only by you know, a few %, but it is better. So if you don't want to use capital letters, you're not going to have awful performance. But if you don't mind, just do it. If you don't mind, do it like this, because for time and time again it's shown to work. Now description line 2, I am going to leave blank, because for a made up brand it's very hard to write another 90 characters. But if you are going to write something, you have to assume that it's going to go along with description line 1. So don't write slightly different wording. You know, write and in addition, you know, second sentence as opposed to a different version of sentence 1. So this sentence I wrote handmade shirts. You know, I'm in the next sentence I might talk about either some of the brands we use, or I might say you know, free shipping or this sort of thing. It's kind of much easier to do for a tangible example. So if I just use, oh, let me look around the room. Okay, well, it's the TV that I'm looking at all this information on right now. The first sentence will be about the specifications and why it's so good. or just, you know, a simple brand ambassador. This is the blah blah TV from this company, and aren't we fantastic? And the next sentence will talk about specifics. You know, how big it is, what's the frame rate, what's the size of screen, how many HDMI inputs does it have. I'm losing followers, so I'm gonna stop talking about TVs, and I can get done and create next ad. So there's my ad. It's there. It's finished. Now, we always recommend doing 2 ads. The 3rd ad will be responsive, something that I'm not too happy about. I want to do 3 manual ads. But like I said, we're going to keep it simple for now. So I'm just going to do 1 ad for the sake of this stream. And then I go save and continue. You can still have more to your ads. Yes, I know. I've just explained to the nice people. What doesn't it like? Oh. Oh, it needs me. It's saying I have to write 2 ads. Fine, I'm just going to do a quick one. UK made. I'm just going to do it made in the UK. I'm not really bothered about this ad, I'm just trying to get through it quickly. Done. Is it going to force me to do a responsive ad? Let's go done. And save. There we go. So then it's going to want you to put your billing information in. Now, I'm going to quickly do this off screen. This is self-explanatory. You know, it's just put your card details in and put your banking details in. Because the way that Google take your money is that what they'll do is they'll wait till you hit a threshold. So when you spend £50, they will take £50 out of your account. Then when you build up a bit of trust with them, that number will actually go up. So instead of being £50, it might be £100. Most accounts eventually get up to £500 quite quickly. But I'm just going to do this off screen because I don't really want to share my card details with the whole of the internet. Strange that, eh? But you can get a look at my lovely face while I do this. Business name, Brad's. Any questions? Now's a good time for any questions if there are any. Brad's Wrestling Shop. Brad. This is standard stuff like you're buying any product. Because I am such a numbers guy, I know my card details from the top of my head. It's my mastermind topic. So then you'll get this one. Congrats! Woohoo! You get a trophy! Yeah, I wish you did. So that's it. That's a campaign setup. And I'm going to very quickly pause it because I don't want to spend any money. So this is the Google Ads interface. Now, very quickly, you'll see the ad I set up on the left-hand side, Brand Pure. So I can click on that. And then I can look at the ad group, extensions, keywords, audiences, settings. But the first thing I want to do, because I don't want to spend any money, is just click on this bit. And I'm just going to pause it. Ta-da! That's it. That's a brand Google ad set up professionally, without their automatic settings, in exactly the way that you wanted to do it. Now, I am going to do another one. Let me just think. Ah, yeah, this is really important. Oh, hello. Someone else said hello. Yes. Honestly, it's all I live for. People talking in Twitch chat. Just, you know, lifts my soul. This is when you all click and you say something and you click the little heart on the screen because that means that you follow the page and that means Twitch like us more. Please follow us. I will be able to tell immediately if you do it. And I'll... There we go. Yes! It worked. It worked. Yeah! More followers! Yeah! 4 followers! Honestly, living the dream right now. It's the little things that you get out of bed for. Especially when we're all self-isolated. If I can get more followers on Twitch, I'll be a very, very happy person.
Hey, they're my followers too!
Wait, you're not... when's your stream? You haven't done a stream yet.
It says only first.
Well, that's because it's alphabetical. Don't know if you all heard Amy, but whatever she said, it was obviously nonsense. Right, back on track. Oh yes, I want to talk to you about keyword bids. So, Google Ads can seem a little bit overwhelming at first. But if you're managing this simply, there are only 2 things that you should really have to change. And that is the bid of the keyword. Oh, could you explain the cost side, please, a little more? What would the amount be for multiple campaigns or just one? So do you mean how much should you spend on each campaign? Or do you mean... What exactly do you mean? So how much did you spend on one campaign, or how much did you spend on them all added together? I'm just gonna run through this bit quickly because this is really important. Okay, so let's say the ads are live, but then they're not going as you want them to, or you want to change this. Yeah, for Brad's Wrestling Shop, it is 50 pence. I set it at a default bid of 50p, I think. Yeah, I'll have a look in a second, actually. But you should, the way to control spend is you look at your budget per day. Now, in this case, I've only got one campaign. It's £5, therefore it's £5 per day. That's it. If I've got multiple campaigns, I'm just going to enable this quickly. And they're all appearing here because I'm on the all campaigns bit. This bit at the bottom will be the total. So if you can't add it up very quickly, just look at that bit. Just going to pause that again because I don't want to spend any money. So if you want to spend nothing, you just pause it. If you want to spend a bit more, you just click on this and you go, ah, it's going really well, so I'm going to spend £10 a day. And it changes that quickly, and it's live, in like literally, bang, done. But the other thing you might want to change is the bid for the keyword. So let's assume that it's a very competitive campaign. There's lots of people bidding for it. How long do you recommend the campaign lasts? How many clicks do you think you'd achieve that cost? Okay, I'll come to your questions in a moment. I'm just going to quickly finish this bit because this is really important. If you're not spending anything, it will be for one of a few reasons. Either people aren't looking for you, which is very doubtful, or it's because your bid isn't good enough. Now, for your brand term, your bid can be very low. You know, like we said, under 50p is absolutely fine. But let's say you were going after, to give you an extreme case, if you're doing credit cards, and no one here should be selling credit cards can actually cost in the hundreds of pounds for a click. So if your bid was 50p, you would never ever show. You'd have to put your bid up. Now Google will tell you, it will say on here, it will say, your bid's not big enough. Your bid's not big enough for the first page. So you can just change it. But even if you just want to tinker a little bit and you go, do you know what, that's going well, so I'll put my bids up. You just come to the keywords tab within the campaign, click on this. How much are you willing to pay? Actually, for the main one, for Brad's Wrestle Shop, I'm willing to pay £1 for a click. And you can see now that I've got £1 for that one, 50p, 50p, and 50p. That's the basics of optimization. I mean, I haven't really gone through results yet, and that I'd need a live account to show you how we'd optimize based on results. But that when an agency is telling you what they're doing to optimize your account, This is one of the major things. We're looking at keyword bids and we're looking at if they're appropriate and if they're accurate and if they need to go up or down, if you can save money, if you can spend more, if you can get more sales. And there's a big thing called quality score. But quality score can only do so much. The quality of your content will only get you so far if you're not willing to pay. Unsurprising, you can have the worst content, you can have very bad content, but if you're willing to pay lots of money, you'll get to the top. Inversely, if you've got very good content, you won't need to pay as much to go to the top. I could talk about that for hours. I'm just going to look at your question now. How long would you recommend the campaign last? And how many clicks do you think you could achieve for that cost? Well, it's going to vary by industry. It's definitely going to vary by industry. Because some industries are going to be, you know, clicks in the 10 pences, and some of them will be into the pounds. We generally say, as a rule, a very, very simple rule of thumb, excuse me, a brand term should be, you should be going with a bid of around about 50 pence. You should be lower than that, but again, it depends on your brand term. But 50 pence is the sort of thing you want to start off at. And for a very generic keyword, we're looking at the £1.50 to £2 range. Again, it's going to vary by industry, and there are ways to find out what these clicks cost. There are ways to find out how much you should be paying and how good the competition is, but that's an entirely different stream. Generally speaking, we would want a campaign to be live constantly, like never be turned off. There are obviously going to be times when you're spending more and putting more spend into things, but you know, you should think of campaigns as being always on, and when tracking is set up correctly, you'll be able to see exactly what it's making you as well, which is, honestly, it's one of the hugely most important things. If you know for a fact that your marketing is creating you revenue, spend more. I mean, hopefully it's as simple as that, but if you're giving Google £1 and they're effectively giving you 50p back, giving Google £1 and they're giving you £10 back, that's making you money, so spend more on it. In essence, 50p per click would achieve 10 clicks per day. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. But what we're saying here, it doesn't mean that I will be paying 50 pence. It means that that's the most I'm willing to pay. So my actual click could be much lower. You know, we could end up having a click for 25p. The maximum cost per click is simply so that that's the most we would want to pay for that keyword. Yes. So it will vary day to day. So if this campaign were to go live, one day you might get 10 clicks, next day you might get 12, next day you might get 8. It's going to vary, and it's based on all sorts of different factors which can affect where your Google ads appear. And honestly, like, it's a single quality score. It's hugely important for Google ads. How long will I do it to turn? Just checking I've answered all your questions. So, when I was setting up the keywords, there was something about match types. I'm going to keep this as simple as I can, but there are 3 different ways that you can put a keyword into Google, and they are exact, phrase, and broad. An exact keyword means that you will only appear if somebody types in precisely what you have written. A phrase keyword will only appear if it will also appear if somebody types something before or after your keyword. So they might type in Brad's wrestling shop near me, or Brad's wrestling shop Canterbury. That would trigger for a phrase match. And broad is a little less controllable. It means that your keywords will trigger for similar terms. Now, we don't really like broad. It can be useful, but it can also spend money very quickly. It won't be a surprise for me to tell you that the default upload is broad. So, you can control this in 2 ways. When you upload your keywords, remember in that little tab we were at before, when you click and you're typing in our words, you can put the whole word, all of the words, in little square brackets. It's just by the enter key on your keyboard, or it should be. Like very straight square brackets. That means exact. If you want to do phrase, it's quotation marks. And broad is nothing. There is another one. I'm not going to go into it right now. You're not going to need it. But you can change them once they're in the account. So I'm going to do it right now. I'm in my account, got these 4 keywords. And I just want to select them all using this box. Go edit. And I can go change match types. And I want to change from broad to exact. Apply. And now you'll see on the keywords, they've all got the little square brackets around them. Now they're exact. Always start with exact. It's much easier to control. So start there and then see if you want to go into other different match types. Again, it's probably another hour on match types entirely. Excuse me. Right, I'm going to set up another campaign very quickly just to show you an example of what I've just done. So I'm in the account. I'm going to go back to the top by clicking at the top, all campaigns. Here I am, and I just click this plus button. I want to make a new campaign. Or, I could load campaign settings. This is actually really useful. You know, all that stuff that we just went through for the brand one, we can just copy it. I want to take all the settings from Brand Pure, and all I want to do is do the ad group and create the ads. Save you a lot of time. But this one, I'm going to do generic. And I'm going to do it generic for wrestling t-shirt. Oh, not too short. T-shirt. As you can see, everything that I clicked before is exactly the same. It's put it right there for me. Apart from bidding. Well done, Google. You haven't let me do the bidding. So you've got to do the bidding again. It's always worth checking. I want to do manual. I've told you, Google. Let me do manual. And generic wrestling t-shirts. T-shirt. Default bid. Let's go for, it's a generic term, so let's go for £1.50. Enter or paste your keywords. Now, so, like I said before, square bracket. Wrestling t-shirt. That's one keyword. Another one. Wrestling t-shirt without the gap. Another one. Wrestling t-shirt. Now, this can go on and on and on. This could be best wrestling t-shirt. Honestly, it could, you know, it could be, this could go on for hours. And, you know, I mentioned about structure. Understanding, and this is something that is only really going to come with agency experience or Google Ads experience, knowing where to split keywords into different campaigns and where your money's going to go and what's going to work and what isn't is one of the, I mean, it's the reason that companies like AM Marketing exist. So this is a great way to start. We often tell people that we can actually get the accounts built to a certain level, like a basic level, and have them run by you. But it's just good to understand things a little bit more. So as I've put those in these square brackets, they will already be exact. And I'm going to rush through this a little bit. I shouldn't really do this, but see, it wants me to make the ads, and I can't bother to do that now. I don't want to do the ads, but you know, everyone else should write some more adverts. So this one doesn't have any ads, so it won't be eligible to run. But now, if I go overview, always check at the top, all campaigns, and go to campaigns. There you go, I've got my 2 campaigns. Brand Pure and generic wrestling t-shirt. Ta-da! The basics of PPC accounts. Now, we would recommend that you split your campaigns by match type. So for example, I've just made the exact ones. So what I should call these is, I should rename this really to brand pure exact. Because I need one for phrase, and I need one for potentially another one in the future. Because the amount of money you pay for an exact keyword and a phrase keyword can be different. And the profitability can be different as well. Sometimes you will find that the phrase keyword allows you to actually see more keywords of what people are looking for. It hugely varies. And that's when the specifics of every client become quite unique. I'm more than happy to go into any part of the account in any level of detail you want. And if you want to know specifically about, I don't know, keyword research, best use of ad copy, how to use match types effectively, how to seek out the best keywords to use for your account, how to see what your competitors are doing, we can do that. We can absolutely do that, but you need to tell us what you want to learn, because we will do what you want. Now I imagine that I'm going to do another one on YouTube, on YouTube advertising, but for now, that's our short, concise and rapid lesson on setting up a Google account. 2 campaigns set up. That took me, including the time for the little bit of when we're going live, that's basically been an hour. And were this a real account, that would now be submitted to Google, and I would expect that to be live by this evening at least. And that's as simple as it can be. Thank you. You're very welcome. I'm glad that I didn't put you into a stupor of sleep, Tom. I mean, honestly, I love Google Ads a bit too much. But you know, Google Ads and PPC, it can be quite a dry subject. It can be, you know, hard thing to get your head around. There is there's loads of great online support from Google as well. But the thing is, when Google are telling you to something, the thing you have to remember in the back of your head is that Google will tell you the thing that benefits Google the most. So, you know, just bear that in mind. They have a huge dominance in the UK. They've got a huge dominance in the world, but the UK, they have something, I think it's 89–90% at the last check. I'll have to look up the numbers. But if you have any more questions, please do tweet us, go on our Instagram, go on our Facebook. Links are at the bottom of the screen right now. And let us know what else you'd like to learn. Will this video be uploaded to YouTube? Yes, it will be. It will be eventually. With our isolation, I can't say that our home internet is as fast as our office one, so recording, editing and uploading these huge files can take a little bit of time, but yes, without a doubt, it will be online. And thank you all for watching, and I'll see you again soon.